Hey, what's up, y'all? How you doing? How you doing? How you doing? Welcome again to Rise Opinion. Don't matter. Um, Hopefully everyone is having a blessed, wonderful, beautiful day. Hopefully all is well. Um, and hopefully you're having a wonderful time. Um, God is good. At the end of the day, God is good. Um, Stock market, of course, is the conversation of the day. I don't know if anybody watched yesterday. They announced the interest rates. Of course, they picky pause. They decided to pause on the interest rates. I think that was a bad idea. I think this is why I was saying yesterday about Jerome Powell possibly, and both of them honestly, just the chest pumping, trying to get one or the other to bow the knee or whatever the case may be between Jerome Powell and Trump. But at the end of the day, in the beginning of this, I agree with Jerome Powell that you got to wait and see how this stuff is going to play out. You just can't jump the gun. On the flip side, he so that's why I felt as though at the beginning, just leave things the way they are, see how all of the things that Trump was trying to implement, if they get implemented, and what's going to be the results of that. And so far, the economy as overall looks pretty good. Now, they mentioned something about people's pay. Now, they use words, things a lot different than I would, but I just go back to common sense. But Jerome Powell worded something, and he said that people's pay are exceeding inflation. And he used that as a reason that to kind of say why they're still freezing on interest rate, along with some of the other stuff that he said. But I'll be honest with you. Hey, Joyce, good morning, good morning, good morning. God bless you. Welcome in, welcome in. Please hit the like button if you haven't already. I appreciate it very, very much. But Jerome Powell, in my opinion, like I try to be open-minded about a lot of stuff, especially when it comes to this economy. Hey, a world away from here. God bless you. Welcome in. Thank you. Please hit the like button if you haven't already. Appreciate it. I try to be open-minded about things, and for those that follow my channel, a while back, when Trump got elected, and all of the stuff that he campaigned on and stuff like that, and I was saying then that if Trump was to be able to pull this stuff off that he was talking, the interest rates is just going to be the interest rate is just going to be like icing on the cake. That was, in my opinion, the interest rates was going to be like icing on the cake. Appreciate y'all very, very much. Thank you so much. The interest rates was going to be a kind of like icing on the cake. So, but there is a part now. Here's the thing: whether the interest rates are high or rather they're low, it don't personally affect me because there's nothing that I need to borrow money for that's going to even matter much to me at this point in my life. Not saying I never will, but I'm saying at this point in my life, interest rates aren't a big deal to me because it doesn't personally affect me because I have no intentions of going to buy anything that I'm going to care that the interest rates matter. But what's up, Jay? How you doing? God bless you. God bless you. Welcome in. Welcome in. There are people right now that are living in their parents' home that want to get out, but they can't afford to. There are people right now financially that are, and here's the thing. Again, it doesn't really affect me personally, but I do understand why Trump wants it, and I do also understand somewhat of what Jerome Powell was trying to do. Now, if you really listen to what Jerome Powell was saying, he was talking a whole lot of hypotheticals. That's the part that I did not agree with him with. Like, all right, don't be experimenting. You guys get it wrong a whole lot. I know people don't realize this, but the Federal Reserve does make a lot of mistakes. They do. They make a lot of mistakes. And here they are barking down. Here they are barking down the very same tree here they are barking down the very same mistake again. All right, so if you're going to say, if you're going to pause interest rates based on the stuff that Jerome Powell was saying out of his mouth, you really have to go back and you got to fine tune what he's saying. You're not making sense, Jerome. It's like you flipped the script of what you were saying 3 months ago, and now you kind of double talking yourself, and you have to go back to the original. And that's why I said I don't have time to get into all of that, but if I know people are not going to go back, they're just going to go off of whatever. But here's the thing. God bless you, Donald. Please hit the like button. Jay, I appreciate y'all. Appreciate everybody in the chat. Both of them are making it personal, in my opinion. Now, again, it's more beneficial to the citizens, but they are playing this game of chess pump. Now, Trump is trying to push what he wants. Jerome Powell trying to push back. Meanwhile, again, the American citizens is what's supposed to matter at the end of the day. Now, I understand why Trump is pushing. Now, again, anybody that watched my videos know that a while back, I said that I agreed with Jerome Powell in the beginning of this. I did. I was 100% against Trump on this subject because I felt the same way. But now that we are seeing, now that we are seeing the economy as a whole, now, is it perfect? No, but it's definitely going in the right directions. It's definitely going in the right direction. Now, for the most part, the economy is going in the right direction. But here's where, and it goes back to what Joyce is saying. Small businesses get hurting too. It's going to hurt in this with high interest rates, because a lot of time people don't understand about some small businesses and they run on borrowed money. People do not understand this. A lot of businesses run on borrowed money. A lot of times they're not profitable. So they got to stifle the money that's borrowed. And they trying to basically dig themselves out of this hole. And if you keep holding interest rates where they are, it's just going to make it a lot more complicated. There is no reason not to lower interest rate to some extent. Now, do you need to go hard, drastic, and drop them hard? I don't know that part, but I know he should have did it. That part I do agree. He should have lowered the interest rates. But now, understand this as a people that invest. Again, this is the reason why I was saying a while back, hold on to some money, sit it aside, and wait for moments like this. Y'all, if anybody paid attention to the stock market, what is it doing? It's going down. Because Wall Street, sometimes they don't like what they hear. And it makes them nervous and concerned. Now, this is the reason why I say sometimes you got to get the politics part out of your head and pay attention to what's going on. This is maybe not the greatest buying opportunity, but it is a buying opportunity. Oh, Jay, I agree with you. Yeah, Donald, I know, and I know that they was in a split with that. I know there was a 50. If you go look, Donald, they was kind of in the middle of 50-50 split with that. But that's this. Jerome Powell is the chair, so I have to talk about him. I'm not talking about the rest of them. I understand the committee part, but Jerome Powell is the chair, right? So that's why I'm using him as a reference to what I'm saying. So there's some other stuff happening in the background. We'll see how all that plays out. But here's my point to that is that, in my opinion, again, they got it wrong. They just got it wrong. They got it wrong. Now, the reason why, now let's go back to what I was saying about investing. And when I say about investing, this is the very reason why I am so adamant. And listen, let me rephrase this. I am not a financial advisor. I am not someone that tells you what you should and should not do when it comes to your money. But I'm telling y'all, this is why I do what I do. Now, Jay made a reference to there's a way around not to be affected we small businesses pay higher interest rates. Now, Jay might have something else in his head, right? Jay might have something else in his head, but here's my point to this is that, all right, so this is why I invest. Let's just say right now I decided that I'm going to go open up a restaurant, right? And I needed to, this is why dividend investing is so essential to me. This is the very reason why I invest the way that I invest. If I know that I'm going to get product from certain places, I'm going to stick with buying product and using dividends to get it. Now, Jay's putting some different things in the chat, as far as links and stuff like that. And for anybody that want to go check them out, check them out, they can. But here's my point to this is that this is why I dividend invest, right? And I mentioned this in earlier videos that if I owned a restaurant, I'm gonna look at where everywhere I get money from, like restaurant money and stuff like that. I'm gonna look at that. I'm gonna go look at where I buy my product from, and I'm gonna keep investing. Okay, cool, no problem. I'm gonna look into where I spend my money at. So let's just say again, Tyson Chicken. Let's say I sell chicken and I buy Tyson Chicken, which I know Tyson Chicken is on the stock market, and I know that they do pay dividends, right? And here's why I tell people, and I whenever I start talking to financial and stuff like that, I always I keep my page this way because I know I'm going to get the vast majority of the regular people that come on a regular basis. This is not for any and everybody all the time. Donald, I do know all that. Donald, believe me when I tell you, I know all of that. I'm just not getting into all of the depth because I don't have, and I agree with you, and I know that there's a whole lot of underlying effects. I get all of that. But top to bottom, hair and skincare, God bless you. Welcome in, welcome in, welcome in. But unfortunately, when you got to do stuff in a crunch time, this is how the way you beat these type of things is you have to be financially wise with your money. That's what I'm talking about. This has nothing to do so much with their decision. Their decision does not affect me. Their decision does not affect me personally. I capitalize on their decisions. This is the reason why they will keep spewing all the rhetoric, get everybody not focused on the real picture. This is the reason why I stay focused on what I should be focused on. Number one, I wasn't too sure where this interest rate was going to go, but I kept saying to people, I said, look, pull back, hold on to some money. You don't know, it might be a buying opportunity. That's what I did, and that's what I was going to do. I did the same thing. Listen, I'm not big and heavy in crypto, but that's exactly what I did with crypto. When I sold everything that I had in crypto 2 weeks ago. And right when we got closer to talk about the interest rate, crypto dropped dramatically. And I started buying more. Now, 2 to 3 of the things that I bought was in the green this morning. Now, it's starting to taper back the other way because I already know how this game runs. And I did not spend all that I had. But I did buy it, and I ended up in the green this morning. Now, if I would have sold off this morning, I would have made some money. But that wasn't the plan. The plan is for me to better position myself the same way I would if I'm buying into dividend stocks. This is where I'm going with this. This is really not just about the interest rates. This is what I mean by beating inflation and don't care about what interest rates is. Because if you got enough money coming in, the interest rates doesn't matter much to you. If you got income sources from all of these different avenues, what do you care about interest rates if you don't have to borrow money? Again, it's you either going to end up on the victim side of this or you're going to end up on the beneficiary side of this. And most of the time, when it comes to the news outlets, the politicians, they're going to spew all of the rhetoric out there to keep you focused on not financially bettering yourself. They're going to throw all the racial stuff out there. They're going to throw all of the rhetoric out there. They're going to throw all of the chest pumping out there. They're going to do all of this stuff to keep you focused on that while they're the ones making all the money. While they're the ones profiting, they're going to keep on, just keep you active. If people's response to rhetoric, if they was physically response to all the rhetoric they're going in, every last one of us would be in shape. We'd be in great shape because we put way too much energy into this stuff and we don't pay attention to what's really going on. And what's going to happen is you're going to end up on the victim side of this. I can care less what the interest rates are because I'm not borrowing anything. Now, if I had to go borrow something, of course, it's going to matter. But what's also going to be a factor in that is how well your credit score is. Because you can say, anybody can say what they want to say. If you understand interest rates and you understand how to borrow, and you listen and you read all of the details and stuff, people treat you different when your credit's straight as opposed to when you got bad credit. If you go to buy a car with bad credit, the dealership is happy. They love those because they're going to make a ton of money off of you. Because they already know that they can charge you just about the highest interest rate possible because your credit is jacked. They're going to make money off that car long before you pay for it, finish paying for it, because your credit is jacked. That's it. They're going to. But if you're an educated consumer and you're very wise and smart with your money, it's a different situation. It's going to be a different situation with you. And Jay, you know what? You might actually be right, and I might actually be wrong. And I'm okay with the fact that I might be wrong, because we both know that it's just my opinion on where I think this thing should go. And the only reason why I say that they should have dropped it now, how much, I don't know, but I think they should have at least pivoted something. Now, there's a good chance that they're talking about maybe in September. But you got to go listen to what Jerome Powell was saying the whole time. And then you'll be like, you're not making sense, bro. It's like you're saying one thing and then you're saying another thing. And most of what you're saying is not like, it's uncertain. You're more basing it off of uncertainty, and you're not basing it off of what you actually see happening right now. Or these moments never happened before. Well, yes, they did. You just don't remember them. No, I get it, Jay. I was just saying in general. Yeah, he didn't make sense. And I'm like, all right, you all over the place with this one, bro. Like, and that's why you see the stock market. They're confused. All of the people in Washington right now are trying to stomach and figure out what the hell was he talking about. But again, that's just my opinion. But the way you beat this situation is that, listen, the government is gangster. They say what they want to say. The government is gangster. And when I say the government is gangster, exactly, Joyce, exactly. And Jay, you know what? That might be what they're doing. I don't know for sure, but but this is why you have to watch this type of stuff. Now, I always tell people, listen, this is why you got to watch the moment of interest rate. And right now, we got a double whammy going on. You no longer just have interest rates, them talking about what you're ready to come up to the interest rate. You're also in earnings seasons right now. And what I mean by earnings seasons is a lot of these companies are announcing their earnings. So that makes the stock market go buck wild crazy too. Jay Wright, that's how I see it. Don't buy the car, buy the dealership. And then take the dealership money and then buy the car. And Donald, you actually might be right too. I'll be honest with you. This is one that I can't call. That's why I'm basing it off of my opinion. I can't call this one. But I can say this much. It's playing out the way that I said it would. So far, it's playing out the way that I said it would. And if y'all remember when a while back, I said, honestly speaking, if what Trump is trying to do, the interest rates is not going to matter when it comes to the economy. Now, the economy is doing well. even though we're still sitting on the same interest rates. So my point is, that's why it didn't matter to me. But again, I said if what Trump does and what he's implementing, if he does all of that, it's not going to matter. Because why I'm telling y'all this, it doesn't matter, because one thing Jerome Powell said was people's pay is exceeding inflation. Now, here's the thing. Again, I want y'all to hear what I said. Jerome Powell said that people's pay is exceeding inflation. He said that. So what that tells me is people are making more money. Their pay scale is exceeding inflation. So what did I tell y'all? It's not going to matter, right? I said this. I said it's not going to matter. If what Trump does actually comes into effect, it's not going to matter with the interest rate, because people are going to have so much money coming in, they're going to be able to afford it anyway. You see my point? Now, Jerome Powell said it. He said people's pay is exceeding inflation. He said that. I didn't. So that's a clear indication that people will still be able to afford it. But I always say this. I don't go by numbers and stuff, what they put out there. I look at it, but I care less about that. How I personally judge the economy is when I'm out and about and what I see people doing. That's how I personally judge the economy. When I see people, what we consider is I can't think of the word right now, but using wasteful money. I can't think of the actual word that I'm looking for, but dispendable income. That's what I look for. That's the word that I'm looking for. Dispendable income, not income that you got to pay all your bills and stuff. Disposable income is the word I was looking for. Disposable income. When I see people buying stuff based on disposable income, that's a clear indication that people are making more money. That's how I judge it. I don't go by the stats and all that stuff. They can mean very little to me, because I know how people manipulate stuff, and I don't trust government enough to trust everything that they're giving me is factual or real clear-cut information. So I have to go out in the real world and judge it based on that. And that's why I go out into the real world and I go and I look at the restaurants, because most people that go to restaurants is going to spend what they consider to be disposable income. When people start traveling more, that's disposable income. Those are incomes that are not tied to bills and everyday responsibility. If I go to the gun show and I see people in there and they're actually not looking around, but they're actually purchasing, then that tells me that people have more disposable income. If I go to a place like, let's say, a car custom shop, and people are in there starting to buy rims and buy stereo systems, they're using disposable income in most cases. Not in every case, because some people just downright irresponsible, but a lot of times people will use disposable income for those type of things. That means that people are financially starting to live a little bit better. That's how I judge the income. I mean, the economy. I hear what they say, but I know how people in those type of positions and those type of things, they want you to believe what they want you to believe, and they can spin it. And this is not about Democrat, Republican, Trump, anybody. This is anyone in Washington, as far as I'm concerned. You can spin it the way you want to spin it. I hear what y'all saying, but I'm watching what y'all doing, but I'm looking for opportunity for me to better financially position myself in hopes that the people that I maybe communicate with and stuff like that see the same things that I see. But this is how I personally judge the economy. Now, for somebody that has a business and they may be in the business where they rely on disposable income, this will be the time to up your game, because they coming. If what Jerome Powell said is true, and people's income are exceeding inflation, that means they got a little bit more in it. That means they're getting more in their pockets. That means that you prepare, if you're a business person, restaurant, whatever, so prepare yourself, because when the wave really, really comes in, you're going to have to gather up all your stuff, store, because somebody going to come back around and try to kill it. And that's just my opinion. It ain't going to last for so long. Once it starts to roll, you got to store. And the other way you beat inflation is make sure that you put your money into more assets instead of liabilities. That's the biggest thing the biggest mistake we make as human beings. A lot of times is that we, especially when we're young, and Jay, me and you, we can contest to this type of stuff. When you're a young man and you want to just, you're going to go buy that car you probably should not buy. You're going to go buy stuff that you just should not buy. And as you get older, sometimes you wise up, but sometimes you don't. Like, as a young man, that's what you're going to do. Like, don't get me wrong. We all, I'm a man, or whatever case may be. And when you're young and you start liking girls, that's where it goes bad. And I'm getting ready to be humorous, but it's factual too. For guys, a lot of times, this is where it starts to go bad for us. When we start liking girls, we start trying to do everything we can possibly do to meet girls. We do. That's just man nature. So we want to get the nice clothes. We want to get that nice car. Oh man, yeah, we got to be praying for them, and I'm glad you brought that up, Joyce. Not just praying for the Japanese people. Hopefully that they don't get that thing, man. But anyone that's possibly under the threat of that tsunami coming through, we got to definitely pray for them, and that's real talk. We definitely got to pray for them, and hopefully they're okay and nothing happening. I mean, we don't want to see nobody dying. I mean, we want life, and we want life to remain as long as possible. But again, when you're a young man and you start liking girls, whatever case may be, you get into this, oh, I'm going to get this so I can meet girls. I'm going to do this. You got to keep the fresh haircut. You got to get all of the nice clothes. You got to go get that nice car. You got to go get it rimmed up. You got to go put a system in there. You want to do everything you can do to try to get women's attention. And I'm not saying every guy, but I'm just saying in general, like, it happens. Like, and then what ends up happening is you wasted a whole bunch of money. Why? Because you find out that most of the girls don't even care about that stuff. Real women don't even care about all that. You put a lot of energy into it. That's real talk. But then you're going to find out, man, I ain't had to do all that. I ain't had to do all that. But you did. And then you look at all of the money that you spent and wasted, and you say, man, I could have did this with that money. I could have did. And I'm not saying that women don't do stuff, because women probably looking back and say a lot of stuff that they wasted money on, disposable money on, and they could have probably put into a better situation and would have been financially better for them. That's real talk. And that's the thing is, that you have to be financially responsible yourself. You can't even rely on Washington. You can't rely on the government. You can't rely on Trump. You can't rely on Powell. You have to take this matter in your own hands and make sure that some of what you have is some of the money that comes through your hand doesn't leave so fast, and find a way to make it work for you. Rather it's property, rather it's making money, property, whatever the case may be, rent, stocks, investments, business, whatever. All of those things I have no idea what Joyce and them was talking about. I know Joyce must have even got a car, and she really, really I know it's about the car. I get that part, but I mean, honest with you, I want a new vehicle. My cheap behind want a new vehicle, but I can't do it. Oh, okay. I'm like, I had no idea what they were talking about. Nah, nope, Donald, nope, nope, I ain't gonna sit there and hold you. We not even gonna go down that road. I ain't giving nobody no advice when it comes to that. Nope. I am not the one. I'm just saying what men, when I was a young man, and a lot of men we used to do when we were younger, to meet girls, that's what we did. That's it. I ain't giving out no advice. I don't give out relationship advice. Nope. Only relationship advice I give people is come to Jesus. That's it. That's the only relationship advice I can give you is come to Christ. Get a relationship with God. That's it. Outside of that, nope. Man, that coffee good. I don't usually make it that good, but it's actually good this time. But yeah, man, those that type of stuff is where we have to personally be responsible for how we spend our money. And believe me when I tell you, it's hard. Like I consider myself very disciplined when it comes to spending money. I do. I consider myself very disciplined. It is very hard to walk when you look at something and you want it, and you probably can't afford to buy it, and still learn to walk away from it, even though you know you want it. There are things that I want to buy to this day I still haven't purchased, all because I'm cheap. I'm very cheap. And I still try to stick to my rule of before I buy it once, I got to save it twice. And I try to stick to that rule of before I buy it once, I got to save it twice. But here's what happens after I save it twice. A lot of times I'm hoping that the desire for whatever it is that I wanted goes away. That don't always happen. A lot of times it does. A lot of times when I be like, oh, I want this, and then by the time I go through the process of trying to save the money, the desire sometimes go away and say, okay, I didn't want it that bad. But there's stuff that still sits there and be like, nope, I still want it. 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 Those are the hard things. It's where I'm like, I still want it. I still want it. Like, there are guns that I still want that I haven't purchased. And I just, I got my own plan of how I'm going to get it, but I'm saving for that. I'm not out there just buying it. I'm not out there just buying it. I'm saving for it. Now, again, no matter how much money I have, I still stick to the same rule. Before I buy it once, I got to save it twice. Now, that don't apply to everything. Like if you're going to buy a car, cars are expensive. I mean, in order to buy, if you're going to buy, let's say a $20,000, I'm not even using a new one. Let's say a $20,000 car. That means I would have to save $40,000. And on top of the $40,000, I can't use the $40,000 to buy the $20,000 car. That means I have to go save I would have to use another $20,000 to buy it. That's the rule. So it don't apply to everything, but it applies to the majority of things that I try to do in my life. And when I say save, I don't mean like saving a bank account, meaning I have to invest it. That's my savings. I don't save money in savings accounts and stuff like that. I have money there, but it's not a lot. In my opinion, it's not a lot. When I say save, I mean I have to invest it. 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 So if I invest that much money and I look at what I have invested and say, okay, I want to spend $1,000. If I don't have a certain amount of money invested, then I can't do that. If I go buy a car, now don't get me wrong, I'm not bragging because it's not about bragging. I do have enough money to go buy a car. I can go buy it if I wanted to. But that means that's a big chunk of money that will have to come out of my investments to do it. I'm not doing that. It ain't worth it. That's why if I wanted to do it, I would have to go borrow or leverage against my investments to go purchase it. I don't want to do that because I don't want no bills. I mean, I have bills. I got debt. I got a little bit of debt, but it's not substantial. But I do have debt. But again, if I wanted to go purchase a car, I would have to leverage against my investments to go purchase a car. I'm not going to finance the car because I don't need to. What I'm going to do is I'm going to leverage against my investments, go pay cash for the car, and pay back the leverage that I did against my investments. So there is a loan, but if all goes bad, they're going to just, if I never pay back the loan, it won't never affect, they'll just take it out of my investments. That's it. But I get enough money into my investments to that would cover the cost of paying back the loan. I get enough money in my investments that will cover the cost of the loan if I decided to do that. But that's why I say I have to keep investing. So if I wanted something, I got to keep investing the money and making sure there's plenty of money there before I go purchase something that will be considered disposable money, disposable income. But again, you have to start somewhere, and I stick to investing on a regular basis. Every single day, I'm investing. I don't care if it's $1. I will invest $1, and I'll be happy and proud to do it. And some people be like, "Oh man, it's $1." I don't care. I stick to that. I still will invest $1 and be proud of that dollar I put somewhere. I will smile at putting $1 in a stock just as much as if I smile if I was putting $1,000. Because every dollar that I invest is encouraging me to keep going. Because I always think back to when I first started investing on my own outside of like a 401k or your job, and they taking out. When I got wind of it that I had to do it on my own, I didn't have to deal with all these fees. That's what I always go back to that moment. When I was at my job and I sat down and I opened up that account and I went to work at that moment. And I never looked back. And I was so glad that Robinhood came along. Like some people I know, that was where I started at. I started with Robinhood. And I was so glad that it happened. Some people, there was a whole lot of other stuff, but for me, there was a blessing. And I went in full steam, and I just kept going. And then eventually I said, okay, I got a decent chunk of money. I don't want to leave it all in one place. So I started using other platforms just to continue, not just diversify my investments, but also diversify where I have my money at. Because some of these platforms and stuff had glitches and issues. You might not be able to instantly get to your money. So if I can't get it there, I got to go somewhere else and possibly get it there. Hopefully not the whole system. And hopefully all of them are not having issues. So I don't put all my money in one place. No, Robinhood's not going to get all my investments. Webull Pay is not going to get all my investment. Regular Webull is not going to get all of my investment. Cash App's not going to get all of my investments. Coinbase, none of these other company platforms that I may use sometimes are not going to get all my investments. They're not. I'm not going to leave it all there. I'm not going to leave it all in my checking account. I'm not going to leave it all in my bank account. None of that stuff. Because you never know what's going to happen. And we've already had issues with these type of platforms and glitches and stuff. So, but again, it goes back to, in my opinion, I think that they should have lowered them, the interest rates. They should have lowered them. This is just my opinion. And should they have done it drastic? He could have just lowered it a quarter point and say, okay, let me just gave it a little bit of smidgen in there. And we'd have been good with that. Nope, he paused. He put a pause on it. He was like, hold up, wait a minute. Pause. But we, again today, we gotta live with the decisions that they made. None of us control the feds. None of us control what they do. We all we are is pawns in this to some extent. We got to deal with it. And in my opinion, I just tell people, make sure you're finding a way to outpace inflation. Invest in a way to make sure that you're outpacing inflation, because inflation will, and if you get another, let's say Trump does his 4 years, and let's say something happening and we do start to get massive inflation. None of this stuff is guaranteed. The best thing you can do is prepare yourself for the worst. Not prepare yourself for the best, you prepare yourself for the worst. And then you'll be all right. And just continue on that path of preparing yourself for the worst. Because the worst always going to happen. Can't get away around it. It doesn't matter how good somebody else is at something. Something's going to come and disturb it to some extent. And if you spent everything you had and didn't have any type of security of blanking around, it's going to swallow you up real fast. That's why I'm very conscientious about how I spend money, how I invest money, how I save money. Which investing to me is saving. If I say saving, that means investing. It does not mean saving money into some type of account and having a bunch of money saving. The savings accounts that we have don't pay enough interest that I'm interested in leaving money there to that extent. I'm not interested in what they have to offer because it ain't enough for me. It is enough for somebody else. It ain't enough for me. I need a better bang for my buck, and that means I'm going to have to take a bigger risk to get a better reward. So I'll take the bigger risk in hopes to get the better reward, as opposed to watching the bank making a ton of money off of my money and I'm getting peanuts in return. It's not good with that. So you can do it for somebody else, but I need better. And the good thing is about some of these platforms outside of a bank is that Robinhood does pay interest on uninvested money, so my money is still making money. Webull pays interest on uninvested money, so even if I have dividends that's piling up in there, they're still making some type of money on top of not actually having it invested. Cash App actually is, they don't, if you have uninvested money in Cash App and you move it to the savings account, they pay interest. And all three of these ones that I mentioned pay interest on a day-to-day basis. I mean, on a monthly basis. All of these platforms pay interest on a monthly basis. So even if you got dividends piling up in your account that you haven't touched and they're just sitting there, and you're moving them into the spot where they can collect interest on it, your money is still making money. Every day, interest is accruing on your money. At the end of the month, they pay out the interest. Now, is it a ton of money? No. Well, why would you leave money on the table? I don't know. Why would you, if you got idle money, this is just my opinion, if you got money idle and it ain't making you no money, you're doing yourself an injustice, because inflation is going to eat it up. It's not 5 to 10 years from now. If you had $5,000, it's not going to be able to do what it could do today, 10 years from now. So if you leave it in the bank and 10 years later, the bank gave you $100 for your $5,000 over a 10-year period, just so you still make sure you never lose your $5,000. Well, yeah, I made $100, but it took me 10 years to get the $100 off of my $5,000. Meanwhile, that very same bank has probably made hundreds of thousands of dollars, maybe even $1 million in that 10 years off of your $5,000, because they just kept on loaning it back out. And it kept coming back in the form of interest. And they loaned it and loaned it and loaned it. And they still get money. That's why I don't just put it in the bank. I buy the bank. If that bank pays dividends, that bank got my money. Bank of America, yes, I have stock. And they pay out dividends. U.S. Bank, yes, I have stock. They pay dividends. TD Bank, they pay dividends. I got my money there. I mean, I buy their stock. It does not matter to me, because my intent is to try to do everything I can do to exceed inflation as far as I can. And that's where you got to look at this. You can't listen, you're going to get rhetoric from politicians all the way across the board. They're going to tell you a whole bunch of stuff. And a lot of this stuff is just to keep you distracted while they're making money and you're not. Here's the point to that. Here's my point. Now, Jerome Powell has literally paused interest rates. If y'all go look up Jerome Powell's net worth, this man is worth $200 million. Jerome Powell, $200 million. That's his net worth. 200 million. And he's saying that y'all don't need the interest rates dropped. Make that make sense. He can afford it. It don't affect him. He can make these decisions that way. It does not affect him. They got plenty of money. Now, they can complain about Trump all you want to, but Trump's a billionaire. He got way more money than Jerome Powell. But yet he's saying lower. Let that sink in. One is billionaire saying lower him. One is multimillionaire and been in that predicament over there. But yet he's saying keep them where they are. Why? When there's no reason to. There's no real reason to do that. You could have lowered them some, in my opinion. Not saying I'm right, just saying my opinion. This is just what I'm saying on my opinion. You could have. Because that would have been helpful to everyday, hardworking American citizens, small businesses, so they have more of a competitive edge against big business. That would have eased the burden of some of these loans that these people are paying out. But he didn't do that. You know what Jerome did? Kept them where they at. Again, I hear all the rhetoric. I hear it all. But again, you got to ignore it. You got to hear it so you can learn from it. Forget what they're saying. Watch what they're doing. And this is Democrat or Republican, the feds, all of that stuff. Wall Street, all of it. Stop hearing all of the rhetoric. Because right now, all they're trying to do is distract everybody. They want you to worry about who's black, who's white, who's right, who's wrong, who stands over here, who stands. While the rest of the world is doing all of this stuff, they are making a killing because they got everybody distracted, trying to hate on each other over some of the stupidest stuff. Fatigue this and fatigue that. Y'all know what I'm talking about. They got everybody distracted with this stuff. It's intentional to make sure that you don't become a part of the game that they really playing. That's why they making tons of money while we worrying about some of the most pettiest stuff out here. And I refuse to participate. I want the money that they're making, I want my hand in that. I refuse to participate in the other stuff. I hear what they say, and I choose to ignore it. Not ignore it ignorantly, like it ain't there. I just know it's a distraction. I know what the intent is. The intent is to keep you distracted so they can keep making money while you still distracted worrying about that type of stuff. They do it all the time. I said a long time ago, watch how much this stuff get elevated. I said this months ago. I said, watch how much this racial stuff and all of this stuff is going to get elevated. I have seen Satan work enough to know what he's doing. And I seen what he's doing. And I knew what he was going to do. Because why would you stop using the thing that works? Why would you stop using it? If I keep throwing it out there long enough, people are going to start eventually buying into it. He's going to use the same strategy over and over and over. And I just refuse to fall into that trap. Everybody else, if they do, that's fine with them. And I have no beef with that. That's God bless you. But I said, nah, I'm good. I'm gonna stay on this path that I'm on. I like it. I love it. It's exciting. It's energetic. Every day I'm running on a 10. I know if you wake up and you running on a 10 every day, and you're not depressed, you're not dismayed, you're not unhappy, you're not sad, you're not angry at the world. If you wake up every day, you on a 10 because Jesus is right there with you, like, yo, wake up, Ron, you ready to go? And that don't mean I'm perfect. It don't. It just means that I'm so glad that he keeps my mind from focusing on the wrong stuff. I don't have to go grab this and grab that to get excited. I'm excited when I wake up in the morning, like, yes. He'd be like, ready, you ready to go? Son, you ready to go? And I'm like, yes, Jesus, what's up? What I'm doing today, other than what I have to be responsibly to do. But I get up every day, I'm on a 10. And I'm not, listen, I'm not exaggerating what I'm saying. I'm on a 10. Because it took time, but when I say Jesus said to me, when the Bible says that Jesus said, take my yoke upon you and learn of me and my way of doing things. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. Believe me when I tell you, when you really start trusting him, you're going to be excited. It's different. Now, I mean, I get what everybody, they ain't got to agree with me, but I'm telling you from experience, man, this, oh, man, feels good. It's wonderful. And I've been walking in this thing for years like this. And it don't mean I'm perfect. I make mistakes. Stuff go wrong. Things happen in the moment. All that stuff. I'm not discrediting anything. But there's nothing more exciting than know that God prepared you long before the situation arises. He said, and I'll be like, oh, that's what that was for, God. Okay, cool. It helps me to stay prepared for a situation as opposed to responding to it or not prepared for it. And it's like when something happens, like, oh, okay, I'm good. Let's keep rolling. Jesus, you already prepared me for this moment. And I'll be like, well, there you go. And to wake up every morning, excited about what the day has to come. I love it. It's a beautiful thing. I'm not perfect. And I say that with all things, not perfect at all. But one thing I can say is this, man, God has never let me down. Not one time. But it took time to get to that point through my relationship with God and experiences that I was having over the years to get to the point where I was like, okay, God, let me start trying to trust in my own ability. I don't know nothing. Let me learn of you and your way of doing things. For your yoke is easy, your burden. Like, you see things that I will never be able to see. You can give me insight on situations long before they arouse. And I started understanding. I started changing my perception of how I handle things. And it gotten so much better since I started leaning more on Christ instead of my own understanding all the time. And that's all I'm saying. And it's a beautiful thing to experience. Beautiful. And that's real talk. I know a lot of times I go sideways, but it's all good. It's all good. But like I say, hopefully that encourages somebody. You know what I mean? And that's real talk. Hopefully that encourages somebody that is on this live. Again, and I stress this without no end. And I know I say this a lot of time, but for some reason it always seems to hit me is that don't quit. Don't give up. Like I don't know. I just don't quit, don't give up. 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 That thing rings on my bell a lot in my head all day, a lot of time when I'm on these lives. Don't quit, don't give up. Don't quit, don't give up. You're almost there. Don't quit, don't give up. You're right on the edge. Don't quit, don't give up. Stop looking at what it looks like. That's not how it's going to happen. I know what you're looking at. I know what you see. That's not how it's going to happen. Don't quit. Don't give up. I brought you this far for a reason. What you was experiencing was just for a season. I brought you here for a reason. You will help heal the land. I don't even know what I'm saying right now. I really don't. But I just know don't give up. Don't quit. Don't give up. See, a lot of times, and this is just my opinion, and I ain't going to say my opinion because I really feel like God is speaking to me. And most might not agree with it. But this is just how I'm seeing it right now is that sometimes people think ministry or their purpose, and when they think like preachers and stuff like that, they always think a preacher or pastors and stuff like that. They don't understand ministry is being in a relationship with Christ. Ministry wise goes so much further than that. You know what I'm saying? And God might say call you to be a doctor. He might call you to be a lawyer. He might call you to be a chemist. He might call you to do a lot of other things. We would not have these things if God did not speak to someone's heart and say, this is what I want you to do. You might not have these things. So a lot of time when God calls you to do something, he puts something on your heart to do. The reason why it goes and it's so hard, and the reason why you crying about it so many times, where so many, you could probably fill up a swimming pool that you've cried so much about this. But the reason why you cry so much, because it means that much to God. He's not going to make it easy for a reason. Because what's going to come out of that is going to be so great. You got to be made to be able to handle this. To be able to handle it. That's why I tell people, don't quit. Don't give up. It's supposed to go this way. It's going exactly how it's supposed to go. Because you will not see the miracle if it went any other way. You will not see the miracle if it went other way. And when I tell you, let me tell you something. You could be sometimes when God give you something to do, and I'm gonna say this, and then I'm gonna leave it alone. Sometimes God can give you something to do, like He'll put it on your heart, and you could be in a room of 1,000 people and still be alone. You could be talking to 1,000 people in that room. They could be trying to encourage you 1,000 times, and you will still be alone in that. Because what they do not understand is that God is not looking for them to be your advisor. God is not looking for them to be your instructor. God is not looking for them to bring you along. What God is doing is saying, I am in this with you 100. Trust me. Lean not to your own understanding, but in all of thy ways acknowledge me, and I will direct your path. That's where God is. It ain't always got to make sense. I always say God defines the laws of man's logic. Our logic says one thing, and God's logic is totally different. But one thing I can say for sure, He ain't never, ever let me down. It didn't go the way I had it in my head. That's why now I just try not to put it in my head. I just keep going. I'm like, I ain't trying to know, because I'm gonna overthink this. I am going to overthink this to know it to the extreme. Now I know whatever, God. What are we doing today? I'm tired of overthinking. What are we doing today, God? Love you. Okay. How am I supposed to do this? Okay. But again, I appreciate y'all. I really do. Y'all have no idea, man. My prayer goes out to all of y'all that, and I really do believe that God is going to bless y'all. I really do. I think He's going to touch every last one of y'all lives in a way I never thought possible. I really believe that. And that is my prayer for every single one of y'all. Doesn't matter who you are or what background it is. It is my prayer that the love of God hits you so hard that you would know 100% that He is there with you. And I can only tell you about my own experience. And I'm going to be honest with you, sometimes with men, we are hard-headed. We are hard-headed. And I'm not saying women don't have their way, but I'm just saying with men, we are hard-headed. Like, I know with me, like, we hard-headed. Sometimes we are hard-headed. When it comes to God, we are. When I say we are hard-headed, we are hard. I know I am. But I'm going to tell you what this, and I'm going to leave this here, is that I remember when I was walking with God, and I want to give y'all this last story, and I promise y'all I'm going to get out of here. With my dad. My dad was a very hard man, like mentally hard. And I put a challenge out there to God, and I said, God, I believe you. And that wasn't about whether I believe God or not. But I asked God, I said, God, I don't know how you're going to reach my father, because I don't want my father to go. I want my dad to die and go to hell. I didn't want nobody in my family, but for some, because I just knew that my dad was a hard rock to crush. Like, he just was not. I already knew it. I was like, man, there's no way. I don't know if God will be able to reach my father. That's just was my opinion on it. And that's just because I knew how my dad was. But then he did. And he did. And he did it in such a way I didn't even see it happening. The next thing you know, man, my dad got on fire for God to the point where my dad started building churches. I am not joking. There are churches in the city of Philadelphia that my dad helped build. He got on. My dad used to hang in the bars and stuff all the time. Like, he was always in the bar, all the time. He drank a lot, got high, or whatever the case may be. And I'm not saying, that's not even a part of the story. Is that when I say that my dad started building churches, he started building churches. Like, he was literally in the church working, building, and constructing churches, more than one, up until he couldn't do it no more. And my dad, when I say my dad fell in love with God, it was unbelievable. I was like, man, woo, powerful. Y'all, if you knew my dad, you understand why. God rest his soul. But if you knew my dad, y'all would understand why. But I just know that as being a man myself, that sometimes our head is just we are what we are. And I probably should have looked at it with that. Shucks, he got through to me, but I don't know. For some reason, I just thought that my dad was an impossible case. I really did. I really thought that my dad was an impossible case. And when he did that, not only that, but then this is where God started showing off. He got my mom. He started hitting my sisters, my brothers. Then he went to my uncles, my aunts, my cousins. And all of a sudden, he was sweeping through my whole family, because I remember he spoke to me one time and he said, son, if you keep your walk with me, I'll save your whole family. And when I say I am a living witness, that I watched him sweep through my whole family. And it was like, wow. So when I say God is powerful, that's why I have no excuses. You take them all away. But the joy of the Lord is definitely my strength. And I enjoy it every single day. But I'm not going to hold y'all long. Please, everyone, stay prayed up. Stay strengthened up. God is with you. He will never leave you. He'll never forsake you. That he put in your heart to do, and continue to embrace it and continue on. Believe me when I say you will see the extreme fruit of your labor. That the blessing of the Lord will come into your house, into your home, so much that there will be no room to receive it. That he will cause you to be a blessing to others, which is exactly what is in your heart to do. Not that you want it for yourself, it's because you, in your heart of hearts, want to be able to bless others. That is an extreme passion of you. And God heard that. And he's going to provide that for you. He's going to help you through it. He sees the unselfishness. Wow, that's powerful. But with that said, I'm going to get up out of here. And y'all have a blessed, wonderful day. I know I was supposed to stop like 20 times, but it happens that way. You know what I mean? Forgive me. I'm going to go ahead. Y'all have a blessed, wonderful day. Please have a good, enjoy yourself. Pray for those people in Hawaii, those people that may possibly get this. Nah, I mean, let's pray that thing don't even happen. That's our prayer. Let's pray that thing don't even happen. Real talk. Pray that thing don't even happen. And if enough of us get together and pray, maybe our prayer will be answered and it'll put a stop to that. But God bless every single one of y'all. And I'm out of here. Y'all have a blessed, wonderful day. Peace.